Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So this is for my story. So let's go back to 16 years old, right? As they say, sweet 16. Well, for me, it wasn't so sweet. And I might have got over this before my story, but I'll make sure that it goes there. I have like 30 parts already, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. So when I'm a bit confused about whether I turned 14 my freshman year or 15. I think it makes more sense for me to have turned 14 my freshman year when I, went to boarding school. So I got into this very prestigious boarding school called Webb because I scored top 1 percentile on the SSAT. And after many years of getting bad grades, in the last couple years or so of grade school, I got pretty good grades. And so it got me into this very fancy boarding school. And after the first year I go there, and the second year, I started smoking marijuana a bit, what have you, and I was already getting bad grades, and so I drop out. And there's more to that story. I think I go over it more in my story playlist. I'd be surprised if I didn't. So when I drop out, I end up going to the local public school called Live Oak. Okay, and so I was finishing up my sophomore year. I believe I was 15, and then the next year comes along, and I'm 16. But really, let's touch on two people. One was Omar, and one was Alex. Okay, Alex was my brother's friend. He lived in San Jose. Okay, he was a rich kid. He had he'd wear a lot of different expensive clothes all the time, right? I never saw him in the same outfit twice, right? He had tons of hats and coats and designer this, designer that, right? Really spoiled in that way. But his parents didn't give him that much money for weed, so he hustled a little bit, trying to get over on people, and he got into a little trouble. And so he was one of the two people who showed me around Live Oak when I first got there, right? Three significant things happened, right? One was Alex, one was Omar, one was a female, I don't remember her name, and her and her friends hung out in the computer room, and they were like self-proclaimed losers, right? They were cool, they were friendly, great, nice people. But in the paradigm in high school, they were considered losers. So I don't quite remember the order of things. I'm pretty sure they came to me first. Yeah, that's what happened. They came to me first, and then actually no, there's another thing that happened, that Dax and Randall, who were two guys who tried to be like Crips, and they were affiliated with Crips, and they looked very much like Crips. Okay, they kind of came to me as well. But first, let's go through that group, right? So that group comes, that female supposedly has a crush on me, and who came up to me with their friends and says, hey, this is where we hang out in the computer room. This is where you can come and where you find us. Eventually, I kind of forgot where it was, but that's not why I stopped going. I stopped going because I started hanging out with, the black guys, right? And some were gangsters, some were kind of wannabe gangsters, and there was like, I don't know, 12 of us or something like this, okay? There wasn't many black males in that school. There was maybe 2 or 3 other ones who didn't hang out with that group. So then at one point, my brother's friend comes and he takes me to different groups. This is more important than you might think, okay? And he says, hey, these guys are cool. You can come here without me, right? And so one of these groups are like a bunch of white skaters or something. He starts talking to somebody, and I'm kind of standing there, and they come and they say, okay, oh, you're here with him. Like they forgot for a second or something. And they're like, you're not going to come here without him, are you? I'm like, no. He said, okay, good. Okay. Even after he just had said that these guys are cool and da-da-da, they weren't so cool. And I couldn't go there without him, right? It'd be awkward as hell. So we go to several other groups, and there's similar awkwardness. They're like, why are you bringing this black guy around? They're like all white groups, right? And all the black guys basically hung out together, except for a few, who had some kind of groups that they were in. They grew up with them or something or whatever. Okay, the other, so that goes like that. And then Alex, he was like a prankster, he's bad news. It was kind of good that I didn't hang out with him, but he didn't kind of go out of his way to kind of reach out to me more than that, okay? Other than me giving him some weed or something. Okay, so then, and weed doesn't affect you as much as you think, right? I haven't smoked weed in a long time. Then it was Omar. Okay, so he lived in the village, and the village had a little, you might say, a gang there called AB, Always Burning, and they backed up the northern gang members, right? So they were kind of plugged into the street gang game, okay? And that's a story for another day, how that kind of comes into my life and how it contributes to my escapades in the streets and so on and so forth. But not much. I didn't really deal with these guys that much. Okay. So, he takes me to various groups of people, and one is these Hispanic gentlemen playing wall ball. Okay. Remember, we're in high school. And so they're like, they're like smiling at me, kind of like, hey, kind of somewhat friendly, somewhat like, what the hell's going on here? Why are you bringing this black guy around? So, things are more racially segregated in the 90s than you think they are. And it pretty much is the same way to these days, from what I gather. People don't want somebody from a different race that they didn't grow up with coming around and saying, hey, I'm going to hang out with you guys now, especially when the culture is clearly different, right? So, they try to be, troublemakers, and they're party friendly kind of thing, but they're distinctly different. And they probably listen to rap and all that, but they're distinctly different, right? And that's how people see it. So all the groups that Alex and Omar took me to and everything, I didn't fit in any of those groups, and basically they didn't want me there. And with the Crips, they, and the wannabe gangsters and the thug life and whatever groups they were from. One of them's older brother was from Seven Trees, a notorious Crip gang from San Jose that was in the rapper Sibo's song, and he rapped with Tupac and so on and so forth. But they kind of welcomed me initially. Okay, now, because of the exact way they came across me, it wasn't super welcoming. I was different than them. I told people I was from LA. There's some truth to that. I went to boarding school down there. I used it as my kind of story to kind of, try to fit in a respectable manner, because I'm a lot cooler than everybody at this school, really, and I deserve kind of my rightful place, right? And so some of these guys were more accepted in the public school system, but overall I was more cool, and I was more gangster minded. I'm a straight killer. I'm the top martial artist growing up, right? And that same year when I was 16, so I guess I turned 16. Okay, the junior year in Live Oak in 97 or so. I got the trophy that year. I got my heart broken by Maria that year, and I got sent to reform school. Okay, that year. Well, it's important to note, before I get sent to reform school, I get rejected by like every culture, basically, except for the loser culture and the black gangs and so on. And you people wouldn't have, in my shoes, you would not have hung out with those people in the computer room. It's not exciting, right? When you're hanging out with thugs, it's more exciting. And so that's what that was, and that's important. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on to add to my story, okay, let's shoot ahead a few years here. Let's go to, I'm be about 21. And I'm on Cotto in Santa Teresa. There used to be a martial art, a taekwondo or some karate, some kind of dojo there. And this part is key. When I thought of this, I was like, oh yeah, I got to throw that in the story. Now, one of the things they do is they do foreshadowing, right? They believe in shadow psychology, shadow self, and foreshadowing. It's where they're hinting at what's going to happen in the future. It's part of their kind of tarot card, occult, Greek mythology, religion. It's part of, Hecate and Circe and the different witches in Greek mythology, right? Hestia and Hera, and they're witches in their own right, and so on and so forth. Nymphs and all kinds of Maids and on and on and on and on. Okay. And so, for some reason, I found myself outside this place, and I felt kind of some resentment. I got in a car accident before that, and I stopped doing martial arts, started working out, and I was still kind of, I was being tested by people to a certain degree. And, okay, there's some lady who was training for the Olympics there, and she's like a lesbian or something. She's in very good shape for a female, right? She's shaped like a guy or something. And, again, this is like, early 2000s. And she says something like, I said, I could beat her easily or something. I said something like this, showing off to my girlfriend or whatever. And she says something like, well, come in here then. And that initiates, because I'm a gangster at the time, right? I'm basically a Crip at the time. Okay, I hung out with gangsters, so on and so forth. Again, I'm not a gangster now, but I basically am that. So when she had said that to me, I took it as disrespect. I took it as, what the hell is this? What the hell, right? Just because you do martial arts doesn't mean you can disrespect me, right? Imagine you do martial arts, you go to Compton, and you say, hey, whoop-doop, so we're in the southern part of San Jose. It's my greater stomping ground. And so I felt disrespect. And again, I'm not like mad about it. So, that's how I felt about it at the time. Now I don't whatever it is, what it is, right? I can kind of see where she's coming from, whatever. Okay. So I start shooting off at the mouth or whatever, and then her trainer standing right next to her, right? And he's like a guy, and you could tell he took martial arts in his life. He's maybe 40 years old, 45, 50, probably more like 40, 42, probably my age right now. And there's a mirror there. And he's also saying, well, come in there. He's talking shit to me more than she is, if I remember correctly. And the mirror is blinding me on the way in. So as I approach the door, like I start going through the motions, like, what would you do if I came in here, kind of thing, right? I'm like, you people are tripping. I don't give a shit, right? You see what I'm saying? What the hell? I'm a G, right? I'll come back there and shoot up the place. It was my mentality at the time. Okay, it's not like, again, I'm a very reasonable guy. I consider myself the voice of reason in the streets. When I hang out with Crips specifically, that's the voice of reason. I describe myself as that time and time on the internet. But if you push it too far, I'm somebody who doesn't know he's Jesus. I'm someone who is the top martial artist ever possible, emerging as such, who'd been through a lot of stuff. I've been stabbed by that point. I've been in a car accident going over 100 miles an hour, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was before that, yeah. So I was like, look, I done been through some shit. I've been to reform school. I'm like, you got me fucked up. You got me. I may as well be fresh out the pen. I'm like, they got me fucked up. You feel me? I'm not backing down. And you got to realize that the state is plotting against me my whole life. They know that that's how I feel about things. They think of me as an uppity Negro, for lack of a better phrase. That's exactly how they think about me. They know that my dad's this huge Nigerian guy, and I was raised being spanked very hard, and I was very, very combative. When I get mad enough, whatever shyness I had, and I was shy as a younger person, it's out the roof, and I'm confronting people. Okay, I done pulled out machetes on people. Okay, box cutters. Okay, I done confronted people with the best of them like a straight killer. Okay. Now again, don't be like, well, I don't want my kids to look up. That's fucking bullshit. Okay, society pressed me with military-grade psychological operations and gang members in the 90s. I was in LA being confronted by Crips and Bloods, okay, when I was in boarding school. I was in camp with more serious types. I was in various situations where I'm not Tinkerbell, to make a long story short, in terms of toughness. I'm like the toughest person on the planet in some ways, and eventually I would certainly be. So, and I understand on a deeper level that I need to rise and be the alpha. I'm the alpha, the beginning, the alpha male, and the end. After me, there is no being tough. There is no being righteous. There is no being even human, because the body without the spirit is dead. Faith without works is dead. So now I'm not trying to, I'm not putting extras on this or nothing, but you got to realize that I done been through some shit by that point, and I was going to go through more shit. In fact, by that city, there's like a liquor store right there, and I was friends with the guy there, and the government had hit me with some technology at that time, and I seen some guy my little brother got in a fight with over robbing my girlfriend. Okay, that's a long story for another day. After I got in the car accident, I was in bad shape, so I went there with my little brother, went to this one dude's house. We confronted that dude in the dude's house. Old boy told me, yeah, he's at his house right now. We go over there, boom. And this guy's like, why'd you come to my house with this? And now he's tripping. And this guy comes out the side door, boom. They scrap, right? They get in a fight. Bing, bat, boom, right? So this guy's there at that store. You can't make this shit up. Now, why did this happen? Because the government was like, look, let's stack the deck. And that's not the only time I've seen that guy where the government stacked the deck. Another time was with a bigger guy looking like a Norteño or something. And I'm with my brother and my girlfriend in the car. Okay? And the government, remember, they're covertly drugging me. There's technology. I'm spending a lot of money on weed. I'm not that big and strong. And I was semi-crippled at the time. Okay? Because I got in the accident, maybe I was like 17 or 18. And at that time I was like 20. And, it stopped me from working out. It stopped me from doing martial arts. It reminds me of Bruce Lee's accident in the movies where he stops working out. It's like a back injury, right? It was a back injury, and the car flipped over many times. It was flipped over in the air. I'm lucky to be alive. It landed on all fours and rammed into the hill going the other way, because the exact way it proceeded, I was able to survive. Okay, when the initial kind of thing went wrong, it was like 100 miles an hour, but it was like curving. Okay. Well, I think I went over the car accident in another video. Let me just leave that there. Let me just get this over with. Okay. The bottom line is, dude had a fucking mirror blinding me. And later on, I would go blind for several days. He had a military way about him. Okay. And he resembled some other people I came across at other martial arts studios. He's like one of these guys you can't tell if he's a white or a Jewish person. Okay. Now, Um, the guys, some of these guys are related to each other. Okay, the guy who was with him was like related to some other dude, and I can't put my finger on who he's related to. He had a military. Well, he's even bigger than this guy. So the guy fought my little brother. He took boxing, whatever. He was, he had big old arms. He was a little shorter though, but he was taught to fight and to throw boxing blows. And the other guy was bigger than him. So that was right where that confrontation happened. But later on, like maybe 6 months later, 8 months later, they planned for that to happen. That's the government saying, fuck you, motherfucker. Well, take that. Well, what are you going to do now? It's like when police officers say, if you get locked up, they say, well, he's not going to last a second. Oh, yeah, if you go there into the prison cell, you're going to learn the hard way. Why, it's stupid to be a tough guy or whatever. It's like when they do that. That's what it was about, And so I came across these people. And so, again, when you're smart, you don't fucking just pop out the car and fucking, So sometimes I did, and sometimes I didn't. Even if I had a weapon, I probably would have drove away, okay, because it's fucking retarded to just kill somebody over something that isn't that big of a deal. So if I fought both these guys at the same time at that point, partially crippled, bad idea. But keep in mind, a couple of years before that, partially crippled, I'd pull out a machete on 2 guys. But still, it wasn't that smart. There was a part of me that would flare up, and the government, government fed into that. But I always knew what I was doing. Okay, I always knew what I was doing. I said, hey, when I confront that guy, those 2 guys in Santa Cruz with the machete, I popped the trunk, put on my front seat and said, what's up now? You know what I'm saying? And then one of them was like kind of laughing it off a little bit. Another one was like, no, it's not worth it, da-da-da. And he's talking about it's not worth it with hurting them, not someone else, right? So that's kind of interesting. Usually you see in the movies or something, they're talking about, oh, don't do it to that person, but they're talking about them and him and his friend. Okay. So, and I think that, I'm not full of regrets about confronting people. Okay? This is California. This is not fucking Rhode Island or something. This ain't Maine. Okay? This is California, and I moved around the Bay Area. Where's Oakland, Frisco, Berkeley, San Jose. So it's it is what it is, and I'm gonna, I'm a man, and I'm cheated out of my rightful place, and to some degree I don't know who I am. Okay, when you don't know who you are, and you're a serious person, and you don't know what your culture is, you could be confused about how to respond. So nowadays, I'm just gonna drive away every time kind of thing, more than just because they fume and poison me all the time, because it's stupid to not pick your battles, right? If you're going to war, you can't just say, well, this army confronted me, so I'm just going to go take them on, even though it's not a good idea, even though, it's going to be a losing battle. You've got to pick your battles. And that goes especially, perhaps especially for the streets, okay? It's fucking retarded for me to rush in there and say, what the fuck you were, because my girlfriend went in there, got some there talking shit to her, and she was like, oh, you still got a black eye from when, when my little brother, socked you up, what have you, right? And they kind of broke even. And again, I tell the truth about these things, right? They've been about broke even, okay? He almost kind of had the upper hand, but I broke it up right in time, because my little brother wasn't super big on fighting, and this guy was stronger than him, and he took boxing, and so I showed him a few little moves because I was crippled before, and we went and saw him about something. In dude's house with other dude next door saying, hey, what's going on? You need me to help him? The guy was like, no, okay, whoop-de-whoop. I tell you, okay, you got to realize, and I don't say this as like some kind of trying to be tough, but things would have went south that day. I would have went back there and would have fucking killed everybody there, okay? Because I'm a straight killer. It's like a lion versus, some golden retrievers. Golden retrievers will stand their ground, probably against a lion sometimes, but it's fucking retarded. That lion's gonna tear that ass up. So if I actually had a reason to fucking retaliate, at that point, I would let him have it. Okay, and that's what they don't tell you about gangbanging and stuff like this. A lot of times it's their brothers, right? I seen this one guy, his name's Joker from A-Tray Gangsters in Southern California. And again, I'm not a gangster. I don't think it's sweet. I don't think you should be a gangster, so on and so forth. Okay, and he was talking about how he killed somebody who was, a reputable Rolling 60s neighborhood Crip, West Time Rolling 60s Crip gang member. And when he did that, he went into hiding because the police are looking for him. And they killed his mom and his brother. And then, they eventually capture him, and he does 30 years or something, 37 years or something like that, in prison. Okay, and he comes out, he's preaching about, changing the neighborhood and restorative justice and helping people out and so on and so forth, making amends. And again, how come gang members always tend to understand that when they make their arguments, but mainstream Christians don't? He said making amends. You don't just say, I repent. You try with all your heart to do the right thing and to make it right. But anyway, so, they don't tell you about that part. Okay? Reminds me of this one rapper named BG Knockout, right? Where his brother gets shot and sent to the hospital, and then he goes over there, he just shoots up the place, and then he gets locked up. Okay? Because they don't tell you that they set black people up to fail. Okay? And they don't tell you, that that's their brother. A lot of white people, regular white people, nice white people, if someone killed their brother, they would think seriously about killing that person. Okay? So when you're in that situation, it's like, that's my brother, and, say it's my friend or it's my neighbor or whatever the case may be. I lived in several places, mind you. Okay? It's somebody like I've known and somebody I have a deal with that, that I'm not going to leave them hanging. Okay? I'm going to seriously think about what I'm going to do about that. You see what I'm saying? And that's the situation at the time. Now, some people want to say, turn the other cheek. Okay? I just wanted to touch on these issues because we're touching on deeper story, bigger stories and philosophical issues, okay? There's a time to turn the other cheek and there's a time not to make a long story short. And you can imagine, just think about this, you kind of get a little worked up, but, I'm not mad at dude. I've squashed problems with people. And it kind of changed my speech patterns. I've regretted that this whole video when my speech patterns changed to more kind of street-like, okay? And they're fuming me and they're causing that with technology. But there's that. The bottom line is I'm Christ. I could sound like the most hood person you heard in your life. I could shoot in the air right now and scream about how I should have done X, Y, and Z. And I don't have any guns, so on and so forth. I'm not violent, what have you. Okay? And you still should listen to me. Because I'm Jesus Christ. In reality, I'm the idea that he's superimposed on to the point where I can say fair and square, completely sane, with proof, with thousands of videos, commenting on various church videos and contacting people, and they have no viable counterargument. As someone with a college degree, the son of 2 doctors, a brain surgeon's son, with a legal and peaceful top martial arts challenge, I outsmart people, I outsmart them. I'm more in reality than they are. I'm sane. They conform to the psychological construct and disassociate to find their life in the world. So I can say that with confidence. And again, some people might say, wow, you're being harsh. It's tough love. It's tough love until my flesh dies, and, to put it in a way that you remember it, not to rub it in, not to insult anybody, not to say, ooh, okay, but it's tough love until my flesh dies, and it's tough luck. Okay, because there's no connecting to God after that. And you need to understand that social norms are not your friend. Reform school, boarding school, they're not your friend either. The school system's not your friend. Law enforcement's not your, no one's your damn friend except for me. I'm Christ. If they don't obey God through me, they're not your friend. They're not doing you any favors. You may as well be a Compton gang member doing fucking cocaine because they're not doing you favors. They may as well be encouraging you to do it. Because your cultures are toxic, they're wrong. And your system, your society, could have killed me again and again and again out of sheer fucking stupidity while they're running sops on me because they know that I'm the son of God. But I did not know that. And they did not tell me that. It wasn't until I was like in my 30s that I realized that I'm Jesus Christ. Because this society tries to confuse people that much. I knew I was more righteous than everybody. I knew that people should listen to me, that I should lead. And 7 years ago or so, I said that I'm the only prince of Judah doing the right thing. Even at that point, I did not know I'm Christ. I said that means that I should be in charge. Christos means anointed. That means that I sit on David's throne and I've established the throne in righteousness. And when we fill in the rest of the blanks, that means that I'm the King of Kings because of my deeds. You know them by their works, and my works surpass everyone else's. I'm the idea that Christ is superimposed on because my top martial arts challenge is more important than David beating Goliath. Consider the number of people. Goliath was a big guy that the Philistines by themselves found. I challenged every group on this planet, in the country with the most martial arts schools in the world. In the information age, at the last possible time a valid martial art challenge could exist because of technology, including artificial intelligence and remote brain hacking, cheating, generational ill-gotten gains, and control breeding. Thank you.